All right, looks like I'm recording. So this will be a quick player recap of last night's session, Joth, session number 52. Um, that Goblin Charm, I think is what we're calling it. Yeah, that Goblin Charm. So I was late. I came in here pre-session, as I always do on our nights we play online, plopped down here at the computer to activate my computer and log into everything and get set up and to go. And my computer was down. So it took me a while to boot it up, get everything working. So I was late and could not get into roll 20 to save my life. So already behind, I think I was 18 minutes late to session. So I got it. I have no idea how long they've been going, but it sounded like Todd had just been recapping most everything by the time I got into session. So David was back. We had Justin, we had John, we had Eric, we had David, we had Dale, we had myself. We had a full house. It was fantastic. So I don't think I missed any actual gameplay. So Todd, I seem to come in at the very tail end of a recap. So that's cool. I did record it. Although again, I started it when I got in. I have no idea whether I think somebody else recorded. I thought I saw this morning that there was a session video. I can't remember, but either way, if not, I'll upload the session once I finish this recap too. So okay. So anyway, I'm playing Martin the Thief. We have Justin as Thana, the cleric. We have Eric as a thief, Candle thief. We have Nevin, Dell's character. Nevin's a thief. So we have three thieves in this group. We have Lauren, who's a fighter, and we have George, George, who's a bard. This is the most successful group. I should say there are characters in this group that are the most successful in Joth in the history of these campaigns. Lauren and George. Martin's level 3, but he's only been in 3 or 4 sessions tops, maybe. Thana has been around a long time, so I would say Thana or Theana. I don't know exactly how to say how he wants me to say it, but she's been around a long time. I think she's level 3 or so too, so it's cool. So anyway, so a group of established characters, very nice to see in old school. And then there's obviously going to be some newbies come in and out because characters die. So last we left off, Jacotus, we had successfully with Hilda, and Hilda, by the way, joins us as an NPC. We also I hired a torchbearer, as you'll see in the video, because we got to have a hireling of some. We got to have some kind of baggage handler or something. Martin. So in last session, we caught up with Hilda, successfully survived some lake monster, Scrag, I think. And we survived an epic tidal surge from an energy bolt from the talons that are in the center of the rocks, that are the talons in the center of the lake. Fantastic high adventure episode. We survive. We draw ourselves out of the lake, soaking wet as rats do, and we headed for Jacotus as Hilda had successfully acquired the scroll that Jacotus wanted. That session ended with Jacotus rolling the scroll out in front of us, and it was a map and pointing out all these amazing things and asking us if we would do an escort, if we would escort somebody from Brickett's Bottom, which the pay wasn't good enough. We declined, and he said, well, I do need an item from this old ruin that goblins had taken up residence in, and there's a goblin king there. And that pays a little better, so we all agreed we would do that. And that was how last session ended. This session, Lauren shows up, and Lauren says, by the way, there's a prominent missing citizen from Brickett's Bottom. A friend of mine's father is missing, and somebody who went looking for him also went missing. That would be something that would be kind of, I think, personally important to Lauren. So he brought it up to the group. The group basically said, yeah, that's fine, but we're kind of here with Jacotus, and we have higher priority here, and we can always go to Bricket Bottom after this and search for these missing citizens from Brickett's Bottom. Okay. So Lauren agreed, no sweat, but I'm just bringing this information. So we load up and we march toward the ruins. And when we get fairly close, Theana, Justin's character, suggests that the thief or a thief or the thieves sneak ahead, do some scouting, let us know what the hell's going on. And of course, we're all game for that. So all three of us, it's kind of cool to have three thieves. So all of us, sneak up, attempt to just recon the area from where we're at. We're not getting a lot, so we ultimately get right up on the ruins and peek in a dilapidated first floor of this old temple, old window that's broken out. Everything. We see these goblins erecting a what do you call it? Effigy. They're unarmored, and we watch them for a little bit, and then we clamber up onto the roof and investigate on the roof, and we find a couple of goblins and another down the stairs, off the roof. Candle upon heading down to the party to give them an update on what we're seeing. Successfully hides in the bushes from a patrol. So we've been able to count 8 goblins that we know of in just this segment of time. They decide, well, we got to come up, we got to deal with this. So they all head up the hill. There's a lot of movement around, Martin up and off the building and telling them this, telling them that. And we decide we're going to ambush them. And we take out the first patrol in a turn and a half, all successfully hitting with missile weapons from technically backstab conditions, which double damage. It gave us a bonus to hit, double damage. So we killed the first 3 goblins in a turn and a half. They then went in the front door, did George and Hilda, and they waylaid the 3 goblins that were in that front room with the building the effigy. George ends up casting Entangle and trapping the 2 of them trying to escape through some double doors. Meanwhile, causes enough commotion that the double doors open and goblins pour in, and they end up with 4 or 5 more entangled in that spell, which is fantastic, and blocking the door. Meanwhile, my character, while Nevin holds the roof location, I go down the stairs. I decide this is the perfect time to go down the stairs because these goblins probably have headed toward the commotion. And I come into a different room, large room, for the lack of a better term, the temple proper, I would say the church proper, with broken down old pews and an old dais or lectern, and there stands a large goblin and a smaller goblin talking. And I attempt to sneak up on him from behind. I fell miserably, and this goblin turns, and it's obvious he's the king, Goblin King. So I end up in a short-lived encounter with the Goblin King as he successfully charms me, and he tells me to join him and help eradicate this immediate threat. In other words, go attack your friends. I'm not certain. I couldn't remember the rules, whether I had to abide by killing. I couldn't remember if that was something I had to do, and I wasn't going to open the book and look. So, as a character, I actually said, "I'm not certain that I want to do that. I'm not certain, King. I will abide. I will make you dinner. I will carry your sword. I will do whatever you command. But I'm not certain I want to hurt anybody on your behalf." I think Todd or somebody looked it up and said something about there's nothing to say I can't be ordered to kill my party mates. So no argument for me. Martin says, "Gotcha. There's a guy on the roof. I want to take care of him first." So I literally turned on my heel and went up the stairs onto the roof to kill Nevin first. I thought, well, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to dive into. Unfortunately, I'm charmed, but I know all these guys. I'm not going to take on Lauren, and I'm not going to take on George and Hilda. But I wouldn't, and Nevin. I just met Nevin, and so I'll at least take care of the guy I think I can kill. Right? I'm a 3rd level thief. So I hit the roof. We have a short encounter there as the Goblin King joins us on the roof. He chooses not to go to the commotion. He chooses to follow me under the roof, and we're in the middle of an encounter there with Nevin on the roof, and that's a cliffhanger. That's where we close. The crew below are now engaging, by the way, in the floor below, the mass of the goblins platoon or army or whatever he's got here, and that's where the session ended. So that's it. I mean, it was another fantastic old school session. I'm really digging. Again, we're getting to know the characters now. We are now playing with purpose. And as opposed to playing, again, when you're all first level characters, you're going to set off to do something because you got to start somewhere. You got to try to achieve success. You got to try to get, but when you're getting up to level 3 and 4, you can start kind of planning and playing with purpose. You can start investing, I think, a little more energy in who the characters are and what the characters are about. And that's why I always tell people, don't come to any of the sessions with a background. Don't come with some elaborate background. You're level 0, you're level 1. Trust me, you'll have a chance to work out that character, and you'll have a chance to play in that or discover that as you play. I wouldn't spend a lot of time in old school games writing backgrounds, creating these characters that you're in love with because they just don't count. I've said it before. It's like sport. And if you've ever been in sport, nothing counts until it counts. And it's just a different mentality, right? We live in a world where I think people just don't realize that. It doesn't count till it counts. And in old school, your character doesn't count till he counts or till she counts. Play it, enjoy it, take it up as what it is. And as you begin to succeed, as you begin to use player skill as well as some luck, lots of luck, I would say 99% of old school gaming is luck, period. The minute we drop dice, it's luck. You can use some player logic and player skill to mitigate bad bad positions. But the reality is it's a game of dice. It's a gambling game. It's a game of luck. So invest in your character to your heart's content. Um, but recognize that they just don't matter until they matter. And when things start to matter, well, I said before, there's no such thing as meaningful death in old school gaming. I've been saying this for the 20 years I've been on YouTube. Dude, there's no such thing. There's meaningful life. So if your character is meaningful, your character survives, your character's made memories, it'll be meaningful to everybody when they die. You can't make a first level character who's been in 1 or 2 sessions who's killed meaningful. You can try. You can you can contrive some engagement, but you're not going to make the players or the GM or yourself really care. When you invest time and energy in creating a character in Pathfinder, 5th edition, 4th edition, the games that allow you in a way to really kind of sculpt your first level character. And those games also feature mechanisms to mitigate character death, then by all means invest in that character. By all means, have a little background. Your 5th edition gives you, I think, 4 background highlights, right? Or used to, at least the 5th edition game I've run and played in. And so clearly their attitude was, hey, your first level character he's not completely incompetent, right? And that's just the difference between versions. It's just the difference between what was going on with older games and what's going on in newer games, right? There's all kinds of videos and speculation as to how that occurred. Video games ruined D&D or tabletop gaming. I don't know if it ruined anything. It's the mentality of players coming to the table have different expectations and different wants, and they want different experiences. Whether that was because of video games or because they just don't want to waste their time playing characters until there's some success, which is why I've said before, the difference between gaming, even in both games, there's a big difference. One game, the game itself, because you're gambling, the game itself is risk, and you're probably going to lose a lot before you start having success. And even that's based on luck. There are people who just don't like that kind of gaming, right? There are people who wouldn't want to just play craps. You're rolling dice and you're gambling money that you're not going to roll. You're not going to roll the craps. There are people that just aren't going to find any depth or value in that. Well, very often old school gaming is very much like a game of craps. It's the luck of the draw until there's meaning to it, right? And I'm okay with discussing this because I've experienced it, because I know it, because I'm not afraid to admit they're different things. They're different entities, and they create different experiences, and therefore they can create different role playing levels of role playing, depending on what your expectations for character and your expectations of role playing and your expectations of what kind of game you're playing, a strategy game or a tactical game. I would argue you're doing that a little bit in old school, but at first it's a lot of luck. unless you got a GM who's fudging behind the scenes, fudging to help your character stay alive or providing some fudging. Um, then of course, old school, you're not getting the authentic experience. And I would suggest that or you're getting a lot of luck, which could happen, but it's generally rare. So, and the minute you drop dice that are 5% chance any one number is going to come up, that's luck. It's sheer luck. And if I roll a 1 on this saving throw, or I roll a 20 on this saving throw, it's a 5% chance I'm going to get a 1 or a 20. It's a 5% chance I'm going to get any number on that guy. And when it comes right down to it, right, you want more numbers on that side for success. And at the beginning, you're not going to have those numbers on your side. And it's if you just if you just understand what you're doing, the expectations for what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, but you're also going to, I think, recognize that's going to influence whether games are a little more lighthearted. It's going to influence. Again, I hesitate to use the term beer and pretzels because I don't believe that uh, that experience has to be beer and pretzels. But it's probably not going to be a certain level of role playing. It's not going to be a certain level of character development. And I don't mean character development by leveling up. I mean actual character development. I mean, it takes time for us to know who Lauren is. It takes time for us to, through all the actions and adventures, learn kind of who Lauren is through actions. And then David may or may not start to apply some actual character through dialogue or through expression of character. But very often we learn who people are in gaming. Characters are through the actions and through what they survive or through what they do. That that tells us who they are as characters more than what they say in voice or dialogue, right? What I say is a rig would be meaningless if what I do is a rig counters that. I could say something about a rig, but then every action I take as a 17-year-old hothead, if my actions represent something else, then all the things I say a rig is bullshit, right? So action tells us who the characters are. We couple that with some personality, we couple that with some dialogue, we couple that with some communication as that character, then it can be very much rewarding role play. But it happens differently in the D20 old school lethal games, games that I really truly believe were designed to be a particular thing. And they've evolved to have people role playing them and having phenomenal role play. But not everyone, and I would argue the highest percentage of people will not encounter the greatest level of role play, right, until they're experienced enough or had been around it enough to get there, right? Dragon Age, I always talk about Dragon Age. Dragon Age was the first game I really read and GM'd where it said these guys are going to make it to level 20. So act accordingly. GM this game appropriately. This needs to involve communication and dialogue and characters and drama, and they are going to ultimately be successful. And if they're not, you've probably you've probably built a mousetrap to kill them that you probably shouldn't have. Not to say you shouldn't make there are those moments, those dangerous combats. They know they're dangerous. They're in this combat. They know it's deadly but it tells you they're going to make it to level 20. So when you campaign in Dragon Age, you're going to have to prepare something more sophisticated than just play to find out. Just roll some dice, and you're going to have to prepare some scenes. You're going to have to prepare some drama. You're going to have to prepare some scheming mercenary, or something, right? You don't have to, but the gist was this is going to be about watching these characters go from point A, from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 to Act 4 to Act 5. Campaign over. They're level 20. What are they? I would argue Symbaroum felt a little that way because, again, it's player facing and your characters mean a little more, although Symbaroum is very deadly. But it's kind of implied that Symbaroum, stretch your legs a little bit as characters, stretch out a little bit, invest yourself a little bit in these characters because it's not as lethal as the OSR, the old school D20 game. And so I think these experiences are all worth having. It depends on what experiences you prefer. I like them all. I really do. Um, uh, I think I prefer. I think I prefer old school for a number of reasons. One, like anything else, my favorite Bon Jovi album was the first Bon Jovi album, right? It's a sentimental favorite. It's the one that caught my attention. Is that their best album? No, whatever. So my favorite experiences is always going to reflect back on, where I cut my teeth, and where I enjoyed it and what I got from that. And much of it is age related. Much of it is, hey, I like the black and white of it. I like that it's good versus evil. I like that we're these guys trying to do this thing, and we can just assume all the monsters are bad guys, and we can just. I like that it's easy to play, right? I invest in the character. I invest in the other characters. But if my character dies, we roll with the punches. You deal with it. You make a new one, right? I'm not planning on having transcendental, personal and psychological experiences playing a role-playing game, especially old school role-playing games. Does that mean I don't want Tarot in Symbaroum to have a meaningful 13 sessions and experiencing Tarot, and all the things Tarot goes and all the people Tarot meets? Because of course, love that. That is special. And I think there's room for all of these different experiences. And I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Right. But it's been fun to see these characters hang around a while. It's been fun to see them get to a level. But none of us are delusional enough to think that Lauren can't be killed in the very next session, and that we can't see a TPK in the very next session. And I like living with that sense of fear. I like that risk. It's a game, and it's a game that you can't win, but it's a game you definitely can lose. And I like that. I'm okay with that. I love that. And I don't know who's going to be talked about. I don't know which characters are going to be memorable of mine or my friends. I don't know which characters are going to be. I mean, there's no doubt I will remember this particular year of gaming, 2024. I will remember as the year of George in Joth. Last year in Joth, it was Trotter. I remember, those stories all were about Trotter. Not the games weren't about Trotter. His character resonates. The memories of Dell's character Trotter, that's what I remember from last year. Taro in Symbaroum, my character, and which is again built a little differently. And then no doubt this year it's George, and so, and David's character Lauren, but George is by far this particular year, literal year of experiences in Joth, or this few months, whatever we are. What are we in? Ninth month? What are we in? Yeah, ninth month. Uh, I feel like these are George's adventures, where George is invested in Hilda, and we're kind of invested in helping Jacotus, and Hilda's involved in that, and therefore we're involved in George. And it's been fantastic. I don't mind that George's character, through sheer survival, through John's role playing and personality of George, through the periphery involvement in NPCs, as well as our other characters that have some lived, some died. They're literally, this year could be the Chronicles of George, the liar, right? And I don't mind my characters not being the center, and I don't mind if I have four characters. What I'm loving is watching. So role playing doesn't have to be about your character or you. It can be about, wow, I'm going to look back on this year and say this has been amazing, watching George's adventures in a way and being part of that. Right? That doesn't mean my characters aren't equal. It doesn't mean that my character might not be the next one that's tends to be the one who survives, whatever. And so that is an experience that I don't think you can have unless you're a selfless player, right? Unless you're willing to just engage it for what it is and enjoy all the people at the table, embrace their characters, embrace the outcomes, the results, right? This is not equity gaming. We're all guaranteed the equal end. That's Dragon Age. Dragon Age says all the characters in your campaign will make it to level 20. That's equity gaming. I'm told out of the gate as GM, they will all make it to level 20, or you've done something wrong, right? You haven't leveled them up. You haven't given them the challenges to get the experience to level up correctly, and you've challenged them too much if one of them ends up dead, right? It's clear equity gaming. They're going to start equal and they're going to finish equal. It's equity gaming. Well, I got news for you. 1974, there was no such thing as, this was just gambling. You randomly create a character. You gamble your character into existence. You get some control over what you spend your gold on, but even your gold is gambled into existence. And then we have a choice. Oh my God, I only got 50 gold. Well, I need armor and I'll get a dagger. Armor and a dagger. Oh God, I don't know what we're gonna do session one, but that's all I got. We got to get some treasure. We got to kill some shit. I hope somebody else rolled up a good character. And then you set out to play, and it's a game and it's gambling. And you're going to role play those characters, hopefully to some level, and maybe even become invested in them long term and have amazing role play. And I don't I don't know if people scrutinize it for what that is. It may not be their preferred experience, right? They want the Dragon Age experience. They want the fifth edition experience. They want the Pathfinder experience. And again, nothing wrong with that. But then we should be coming at those sessions as a GM and as a party of people with a different attitude about the characters and the role play, and a different attitude about what the GM's job is to facilitate the game and the combat, the tactical combat, but to understand, where we're at. I don't have the luxury of playing a lot of third edition, third 3.5. I have GM'd four. I've played four. I have GM'd five. I've played five. I've GM'd Pathfinder, and I've played Pathfinder. Very small sample, tiny sample, 2 or 3 sessions. So three strikes me as the old school made made less risk, made less of a gamble, and more of player agency, more control over the quality of the character you create, more over the control of the quality of outcomes by hopefully smart, strategic decision making. And this is exhibited beautifully by how Jose plays these games, even old school games. And also, Jose is very much playing with a without how to say this. Jose is aware of the math, he's aware of the risk, and he's aware of the strategies that make successful characters game wise, not necessarily characters as personality role play, but how we strategize to be successful in Mincer D&D, basic D&D, or Moldvay D&D. There are strategies to be successful, and experienced veteran groups know that, and that's why they can invest a little more in their opening characters, because they know there's some strategies they can do to mitigate the risk, mitigate disaster. But you don't assume that means your character with 3 hit points isn't going to die, because they could, and they probably will, until you can start to hang on, until you get a magic item or two, till you get some plate mail armor, all those things that help give your character a little more bulletproof, right? So I don't know if people can survive or play. A lot of people who don't have this experience, can they survive the game long enough? And I mean, as people playing the game, not as characters, can they, as people experiencing this product, can they survive it long enough to have the experiences and to learn the strategies and to learn the tactics and to learn what it's going to take to see those baby steps up the rung to epic memories, right? Because they are going to be epic memories if you can. Um, they're going to be epic memories of just how your very first character died in the first 10 minutes of a session. But I mean, when I mean epic, I mean by seeing what George who George is. And I want to say, I mean, I want to say, this is George's world. This is George's world. I'm just a player in it. This is George's campaign. I'm an extra. This is his movie. This is Conan's movie. I'm just the little wizard, right? And it's part of the joy of experiencing role playing through other people's success, through other characters. I don't have to have the character moments. I can enjoy George's character. I can enjoy Dell's character. I can enjoy David's character. And so role playing for me is, so much richer than just, hey, I want to win, and this is about my character, and I want to, it's a different deal. I can enjoy Jose's Ranger. I can fully be invested in Barrel Maze because I'm enjoying Jose's character. My character, I might not be so invested in. I might not know yet who this character is, but I want to be there to see Jose's character, and I want to be there to be a part of Jose's adventures because I like Donald of Clearwater, and there's something about Donald of Clearwater that makes me want to have a character in this group. And so Donald might slowly, over success and over time, rise to be kind of the leader of the group. That's a natural thing, and it should be that way. Not the player, the character, right? Jose's not the boss of the group. His character becomes kind of the veteran, the leader of the group. Because the guy who survives is the guy everybody turns to say, "Help us get through this." Oh my God, you're gonna turn to the guy who's lived through it and say, "Please God, how do we survive this, Donald? Oh God, Donald, how did you survive this when it happened in session 24, right?" And those are part of the experiences. The player experiences are as valid as the characters' role play, the characters' experiences. And I don't think the two need to be separate. I mean, it's a game, and I've talked about this before, but there it is. That's my take. All right, everybody have a great, great week. Bye bye.